I am finally back, and honestly, it feels so nice. It's been months since I last posted. I have only been very active on Threads, nothing else. Yeah, I was in a mental block that I just couldn't get myself out of. Creatively, I was completely out of it. And there has been so much going on that I've been just existing and trying to get other stuff done. As you can see behind me, there's a bit of a difference over there because I've been redecorating my home office to see if I feel more inspired. So you will probably see some new backdrops and all that stuff going on. I'm hoping to make it look absolutely beautiful, but I don't even know. Like, I don't have a full vision of how this is gonna go. So I figured I would go little by little because that's just easier for me to visualize and make it work, right? That's what's been going on. This side of me is a whole disaster, so I'm not even gonna show that. I did record my process of getting this done, so hopefully if the footage actually turned out good, I'll be posting a video about that soon. But let's get into talking about reading because that is what we're here for. I've been doing a lot of reading because it's been, I guess, easier for me to dive into reading than anything else lately. And I have a whole bunch of books that I finished, but I'm not going to talk about those right now. I'm going to talk about the ones that I'm currently reading. So I am, as I typically am, reading one physical, one audiobook, and one ebook. So October of last year, I started reading Assistant to a Villain, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just been hard for me to get through it. I don't know why. I think it was because of the format, but I have been so determined to read that book because I've been annotating it. So I wanted to read it in a physical form. And I actually have been enjoying it recently after I've actually given myself the time to sit down and just not pressure myself so much into reading it really fast, but just reading at my pace, like at whatever I am able to. I've been able to pick it up more often. And since I'm almost halfway through the book, I feel like I now have a better grasp of the world. So I am more attached to the characters and I understand better what's going on. I've been enjoying it. I can't say it feels like a 5-star read. It definitely feels like a slower paced book, which is not typically what I tend to rate highly. But we're gonna hope that it's gonna get better and I'll rate it highly. I am enjoying it, like I said. So it's right now it's sitting between a 3.5 and 4. It's not that it's a bad book, it's just that it's a slower paced book. And for me, slower paced books are so much harder to read and to enjoy. So I guess that's why I'm rating it like in the middle of the rating scale. The other book that I am reading is, I think it's called Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. So Love Her or Lose Her is the second book in this series, which I don't even know what it's called. But this was my first Tessa Bailey book that I read a couple weeks ago, actually a couple days ago. I finished this one as an audio and I immediately had to download the next one because it's so good. So Fix Her Up, I gave it, I think, 4.5 stars or something. I don't know, something like that. And I got the second one from the library, again, also to listen to. And I think I'm like 30-something% through that audiobook. Really good, really cute. I do have to say that so far, comparing it with this one, I did enjoy this one more. But I think it's because I'm not a big fan of the marriage trope. And the main characters in the second book are married and they have marriage issues. And I don't really love that kind of stuff, but the book is really good, so I am getting through it, and since it's an audiobook, it's easier for me to get through as well. So I have high hopes for that. I'm probably gonna rate it highly because it is a good book, and I am enjoying the story. The third book that I am reading at the moment is Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and I am reading that one on my Kindle. I had been putting off that book because I knew that that was going to be a book that I wanted to focus on. I wanted it to be a book that I could dive into and really get to know the character. So I had tried to start that book a couple of times actually, in the last couple months. And I was just not in that particular mental space and mood to read it. So I just kept putting it to the side, like, no, let me not do this right now because I don't want to ruin this book for me. So I finally felt like I was in the zone to read that. And that was a good decision to make because the book has been so good. Like, I'm going slower reading it. I'm taking my time, you know, I'm trying to really make sure that every time I sit down to read it, I am present in the story. I do expect to rate it highly as well. Like, I have been in this mental space where if I'm not enjoying, I'm DNFing. So the majority of the books that I've been reading, if I finish it, it's because it's good. Have I finished books that aren't necessarily great and I had to rate them lower? Yes. But for the most part, I DNF. I've been focusing on reading things that really make me happy and things that I enjoy. So that book is really up there. Like I said, I'm taking my time with it. I want to make sure that I am present when I'm reading it, that I know what's going on. And I love that the way that this book was written, it's really easy to get into because fantasy for me is always a challenging topic, a challenging genre for my brain to understand. And so this book was really well written to the point that immediately I was in there. I knew what was going on. I knew what the world was like. Everything just made sense from the minute I started reading. Those are the 3 books that I am reading right now. I do want to start 2 more, which is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and I think it's called Sterling Summer, something like that. Obviously, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is a very, very popular book by V. Schwab. And I actually have 2 copies of that because one of my friends gifted me that book. I ended up still going to get a 3rd copy at the library. I didn't buy it because something in my heart said, let's read it in Spanish. And so the library had it in Spanish, so I went and got it. I recently read Liliana's Invincible Summer in Spanish, which is a nonfiction about a feminicide that happened in Mexico in the 80s, 90s, I think early 90s or 80s. And so I absolutely loved that book. I also finished reading These Hollow Vows that I started reading in Spanish. That one I couldn't get through because something on the writing, I guess the translation that they did to Spanish, it didn't really sit well with me. So I finished it as an audiobook in English. So I've been like craving reading the books in Spanish. And so I found The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue the other day when I went to the library, and I was like, this is it. So I grabbed it. I have not started it, but I did read a little bit of the first page just to see if the writing style would sit well with me. So it did in that first page. I'm hoping that it will stay that way. I've also been wanting to buy more books in Spanish or just find more books in Spanish in general. So I'm hoping that that'll be possible, but I lived in the middle of the Midwest in the cornfield. So even though there's a lot of Hispanic, Latino people here, I don't see the stores really selling books in Spanish. I rarely see that. And when I see books in Spanish, they are typically books to learn Spanish, not books that have been either translated into Spanish or written in Spanish. And so my library is my only saving grace, or buying them online. So we'll see, because I don't always sit well with all the writing styles in Spanish, so I don't like to just buy books in Spanish randomly. I like to see how they're written first before I make the purchase. And so we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you updated on that. One of the books that I want to start is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and then the other book that I want to start that I actually bought was Sterling Summer, I think that's what it's called, by Jess Bryson. I think that's the author's name. And Jess Bryson is an indie author from Illinois, and that was very exciting. So I found the book in my local bookstore, and it just kept calling me. There was something about the book that just kept calling me. So it turns out that it is a sports romance, and it's a short read, and it is baseball based type of book. I've already read hockey, I've read football, a lot of football romances. So I haven't read baseball, so that's gonna be interesting. And there seems to be a love triangle situation happening there. I love triangles on books. So I'm very excited to start that one. That one I do want to annotate it. So I already got all my cute supplies and all that stuff. So I will be doing that soon, which reminds me, This is a little bit of a not sponsored promo, but I found at Costco this whole pack of annotating supplies. The midliners, the click art, and the Sarasa mark-on. As you can see, I already took this one out. Oh my gosh, they write so nicely. These I had already tried because I bought one of them, just like the blue one, at Barnes & Noble for like $3 because I wanted to test it out before I committed to buying it, because these are pretty expensive, in my opinion. Like, I think this portion only for the midliners is like $30 in most retailers. This whole pack at Costco was originally priced at $20, so you were already getting value. They marked them down this week to $14.99 or something. So you know I grabbed these immediately. I grabbed two actually. And I'm pretty sure that the next time I go to Costco, they are not gonna be there. Or hopefully if they mark them down more, I'm gonna buy more, because obviously, like, these are amazing, amazing supplies. Again, not sponsored, unfortunately. Someone should sponsor me because I love stationery stuff and like office supplies or whatever. So I will be using those to annotate Sterling Summer. I might be wrong, honestly, in the entire name of that book. But anyway, point is that those are the books that are on my radar right now. I do have Iron Flame that I have not gotten through yet. And I already saw that Onyx Storm. The reveal for that cover is absolutely amazing. I had already pre-ordered the book since the beginning, like when it first, the pre-orders were first available. So I have my copy secured, but yeah, I'm very excited about that. So I do need to get through Iron Flame. I just have to, I'm waiting for one of my friends to read something else so that she can catch up to me, and then we can continue reading it together, because we did start reading it together and then she went too far and she was waiting for me, and then I went too far, so now I'm waiting for her. So we need to get back into that one. And yeah, I do have a couple books here and there that I want to read. I did buy 2 new Ana Huang books that I will show later. Got them at Costco as well. Costco has been serving with the books and the annotating supplies, and I'm so amazed by it, but so excited about it. And I am sad about the whole thing that I've been reading about in social media, that supposedly Costco's not gonna be selling books year round. That's like devastating to me. But then again, we need to support our local bookstores and the library, and I do that mostly. I don't actually buy that many books anymore because I have accumulated far too many of them that I have not read. So I typically just go to the library. That's why I bought 1 book at my local bookstore recently, and I got like 5 from the library, because I've been trying to just, whenever I get that urge to buy a book, I go and grab something from the library, because I know I can grab as many as I want. And if I don't read them immediately, that's fine. I can give them back and then take them again whenever I do feel like reading the book. Even if I don't read the book, I know that taking the book from the library helps the library. So I try to do that. I'm trying to get into the habit of doing that, just going and checking books out, because that demonstrates that the library is important and it's serving the community. And I love my local library. I love going there. I love spending time in there. I love sitting down and just like working on whatever. So libraries are, I would say, what hold together a community. So I do make sure that I'm always supporting my local library. So yeah, with that said, I think that is my update for my current reading. And I have reached the time that I have to leave for work. That is all I have for today. So thank you so much for spending this little time with me, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.